Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Putty and welcome back for another edition of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, the greatest damn territorial wrestling on the planet today. It's true. It's damn true, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we are here in the Maw Zone for Old School Rules 2. Headlining matches, the first of which is a 6-man steel cage tag team match. Garry Walker, Darren Gugel, and Clinton Adams, Ouddi-gun and Garry Walker, taking on the full 3-man team of Devil May Care, that is Kamikaze, Stuntman, and Acid. The tag team titles are on the line, although I have found out that you can't actually put tag team titles on the line in 6-mans in this game. You can put singles titles on the line, but not tag team titles, so We'll figure that out as we go along. The winning team will become the tag team champions or retain the tag team championships, depending on which team it is. The losing team will be fired. Big stakes in that 6-man tag team cage match later tonight. And in our main event of the evening, 2 men, former friends, do battle seemingly for the final time. It's the last battle of the Mid-Atlantic. It's Froshore, Davis Wayne Newton in a Mid-Atlantic Deathmatch, which is essentially a last man standing match with lots of weapons. It's going to be brutal, it's going to be physical, and these 2 friends will apparently get to know each other once again through the only way they know how: professional wrestling. Much more on the card tonight, lots to experience, lots to get into, so let's just get started with Mid-Atlantic Wrestling Old School Rules. We kick things off with Froshore in the commentary, in the interview area, saying, Davis Wayne Newton, I know you think you have the advantage tonight, bro, and you do in a way, because you're more brutal, you're more vicious, you're more aggressive. But you know, when you look into my eyes, Davis, and I know you see this because you've been getting me, you've been trying to get me to switch over to your side all year. So I know what you see when you look into my eyes. What you see is desperation. What you see is hatred, and what you see is fire. And yet tonight, Davis Wayne Newton, we're going to war. And maybe, just maybe, I won't come out the other end the same person. We move on to a wild brawl between Mike Graves and Tennessee Williams, 2 Southern-style professional wrestlers. Memphis-style punches between these guys. Tennessee Williams, of course, one half of the Southern Stars, one of the greatest tag teams in the Texas territorial history, taking on Mike Graves, the outlaw, the outsider who's been going around the territory. He's picking up crucial wins, and he picks up another one tonight using that really wild, brawling style, putting Tennessee Williams off his game with vicious and unpredictable strikes to every part of Tennessee Williams' body. Absolutely brutal match as Mike Graves does pick up the victory with his patented sprinting high knee. Big victory for Mike Graves as he continues his momentum here in the Mid-Atlantic territory. Good match between Mid-Atlantic Dojo grad Al Nice and the greatest crossover superstar in professional wrestling today, Jack Wood, who of course tries to go to work with his brutal MMA-style holds and strikes, really taking it to Al Nice. Really painful match for him as he gets hit with those really nasty, really physical maneuvers from Jack Wood, but Al Nice uses those technical basics to kind of get a hold on the match and score a bit of an upset victory over the crossover athlete here. Al Nice with a huge win, one of his first in the company, so good stuff from both men. Decent wrestling from somebody who's very green and somebody who has not a ton of work in this company yet, although he's been around for like a year and a half now. And we move on to a good match between Robin DeLay and Marv Statler. Of course, Marv Statler, one of only 2 people remaining in Team Progress, and Robin DeLay, a Team Progress alum, tried to get his hands on the World Heavyweight Championship 2 months ago, faced Logan Wolfsbane. And Logan Wolfsbane, in the end, used the help of Marv Statler to retain the Tag Team Championship. To retain the World's Heavyweight Championship. Robin DeLay looking to get back on terms with his old mentor, Papa Dan, and tonight, kind of showing that he's free of the Team Progress shackles by taking it to Marv Statler with his brutal, brawling style. Marv Statler prefers some throws, prefers a little bit of distance. Robin DeLay likes to get up and close and really hit you with those elbows and those punches and those forearms. And in the end, Robin DeLay's pure strength, pure power of the very large, hard-working gym rat that is Robin DeLay, manages to pick up the victory with his monstrous powerbomb to DeLay down. Huge victory for Robin DeLay. I'm sure his sights are still firmly set on that World Heavyweight Championship, but he's got a little bit of dealing to do with the rest, with Marv Statler and Logan Wolfsbane before he can get a fair shot at that title. And we now move on to the stakes-filled 6-man tag team cage match. The losing trio will be fired, and it is mental, of course. It's a tornado tag. There's nowhere to stand really inside the cage. It could be a tag match, but we're making it tornado, and it is mental. Devil May Care using that cage, bouncing from wall to wall, using their bodies as weapons. They don't care how many concussions, how many broken bones they get, so long as it is glory at the end of the day. And what better glory than retiring a former #1 contender to the World's Heavyweight Championship, Garry Walker, Clinton Adams, one of the hottest rising superstars in the business today, and Darren Gurgel, who's barely been in wrestling. And also, of course, the Mid-Atlantic Tag Team titles on the line tonight as well. Huge glory on the line. And the Valhalla Boys, the men with reckless abandon and a Devil May Care attitude, take it to the ensemble trio of Garry Walker and Ouddi-gun. Huge match as these two just brutalize each other inside that steel cage for 14 minutes. Nasty, nasty stuff, rubbing each other's faces up against that brutal steel. And there is no give in that steel of a Mid-Atlantic Wrestling steel cage. Absolutely no give. And it is just an old school... Whoa, Jesus Christ. That was weird. I don't know where that bang will come from. Probably upstairs. Just an old school brawl from these guys. Absolutely destructive wrestling. And in the end, no, we won't go to the end yet, because they're just trying to jostle for that position, trying to jostle for victory. And you know, we see in Devil May Care guys who don't care how much pain they take. They're going to dish it out further and further, more and more pain to their opponents, and they don't care how much they take. And so they're suited to this environment. They're suited to wrestling inside a destructive steel cage. And they clearly have the advantage in this match, but they're up against guys who have so much heart, so much fire, and so much passion that they can't keep guys like Garry Walker down, who will punch his way back into any match. Someone like Clinton Adams, who has to fight for the honor of his injured tag team partner. An absolute amount of fury and fire in the hearts of the babyface tag team tonight, and they're able to fire back no matter how much pain that Devil May Care inflict on them. They're able to fire back, stay in the match, and finally pick up the victory when Clinton Adams pins Acid 2. And Ouddi-gun are the tag team champions. Big victory for them tonight. Huge celebration, huge elation, as they have finally vanquished their enemies. And absolute delight on the faces of all involved as they head to the back, victorious. And of course, it is time to say goodbye to one of the greatest tag teams in the history of Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, 4-time Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions. Kamikaze, of course, had a decent singles run, had a shot for the Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight title a couple years ago. It was a huge, huge influence on this company, these three men, and it is time to say goodbye to them. They may be back one day, but I very much doubt it. This was a very final stipulation. Acid 2 and Stuntman have been inducted into the Mid-Atlantic Hall of Fame, as they should, the first ever 4-time Mid-Atlantic Tag Team Champions. They kind of drop the nasty facade. They've never really been truly villains in this company. You know, they've always been exciting to watch wrestle. They've cut corners, they've been brutal, they've been nasty at times. But they've never been the true central villain of the piece. And they can drop their more nasty facade to clap the crowd and clap everyone off. Because, of course, they've put their bodies on the line for this company over the last 6 or 7 years. And they do deserve a standing ovation as they leave the Maw Zone for the final time. One person who is nasty, though, who is a central villain of the piece, is, of course, Davis Wayne Newton, who gets into the interview and says, "Fro, you're right, I see that desperation in your eyes. I see that brutality, that viciousness that I can just pull out of you. But that doesn't mean I don't think I can beat you, because tonight, Fro, it's a win-win scenario. Either you stick to your principles, you stick to your morals, and you try to out-wrestle me, and I beat the shit out of you, or you turn to the dark side. And then I've won. I've won. But I tell you what, Fro, you give me one opportunity, you give me one shot tonight to indulge myself a little, you know what I can do. Because I destroyed you, I brutalized you, I victimized you with a steel chair back when I considered you my friend. So just imagine in that dark little section of your mind for a second what I can do to you when you're my enemy. See you out there, bro. Davis Wayne Newton, of course, well primed for this sort of environment, as, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Mid-Atlantic Deathmatch. Huge brutality as these two men go to war. Froshore tries to out-wrestle Davis Wayne Newton, tries to work his paragon of goodness style, keep it in the ring, keep Davis Wayne Newton controlled with a mixture of that fast-paced brawling, that coastal zone Californian striking that Froshore is known for, and those technical basics that he's learnt here in Mid-Atlantic Wrestling. Just tries to control the match, tries to keep Davis Wayne Newton in the ring away from the weapons that decorate the outside of the ring. Kendo sticks, tables, ladders, chairs, everything you can imagine. Baseball bats, barbed wire, thumbtacks, glass panes, light tubes. Every sort of brutal, vicious weapon that Davis Wayne Newton wants to get for Christmas. Decorated outside the ring, so Froshore needs to try and make sure that Davis Wayne Newton stays inside the ring. That Davis Wayne Newton stays away from those toys, away from that brutality that could possibly turn this match into something that Fro really wants to avoid. But the thing with Davis Wayne Newton is that for all the stick that we give him, for all the hatred that he garners from that crowd, vicious and vitriolic chants being thrown at him every second, Davis Wayne Newton does have heart. He does have resolve. And for sure, he is able to out-wrestle Davis Wayne Newton, but he's not able to keep him down. Because, of course, you've got to keep Davis Wayne Newton down for a 10 count in order to win this match. And when just out-wrestling him isn't going to do it. And another thing is that you can't fully control a match with Davis Wayne Newton. He's not malleable like that. He is a great professional wrestler, and we see that vicious high-flying style from Davis Wayne Newton too. Every time he breaks out of one of Fro's submission holds, he's able to hit the ropes and hit Fro with a really nasty strike, a really nasty high-flying maneuver that really must sting, must really hurt Fro to his core. And Davis Wayne Newton gets that space, he gets that time to think, and he's able to create separation, and then he realizes that it's time to go for his equalizer. So he rolls out of the ring, he looks at the light tube, he looks at the barbed wire, the kendo stick, the table, the ladder, but he settles on that one weapon that Fro knows very well from Davis Wayne Newton, and that is the steel chair. The steel chair that in the summer of 2022, I want to say, Davis Wayne Newton used to brutalize almost every member of the main event roster. And he steps back in the ring and he looks down at Froshore and he starts battering him. Steel chair shot to the head, steel chair shot to the back, into the rib cage, nasty shot after shot. Davis Wayne Newton goes to that dark place that we've seen only he can do. Just hitting Froshore over and over again, no regard for his opponent's bodily health, no regard for his old friend's ability to wrestle, to work in the future. Just continuous shot, trying to reduce Froshore to a puddle of humanity. Because he enjoys it. He enjoys pain, and he's sick and tired of everyone screwing him over. He still hasn't had his one-on-one title shot from where it all begins again, 2022. And if he's not going to get things the fair way, then he can watch the world burn, because the colors are pretty. And he keeps hitting Froshore over and over and over again, and then when Fro still stands at the count of 8, Davis Wayne Newton looks at Froshore and realizes that this man has too much passion, too much heart to be kept down, to give up. And he smiles. And he sees a man he used to respect and call his friend. And he sees that resolve and he sees that fire and he smiles because he knows he used to respect that a fuck ton. But then he has an idea, a vicious a vitriolic idea, and he drops the steel chair covered in Froshore's blood right at the feet of the Coastal Zone Californian brawler, and Davis Wayne Newton gets to his knees and he extends his hands. And it is exactly the same situation that we saw Logan Wolfsbane playing mind games with both men. All those years ago during Logan Wolfsbane's title reign, Logan got into the head of Froshore by doing this exact thing, saying, hit me with that steel chair, gain that advantage, turn, give up everything you hold dear. Froshore refused. But when Logan tried to play those mind games with Davis Wayne Newton, that's what made Davis Wayne Newton who he is. And Davis knows that Fro can have his head corrupted by these things. Davis knows that this is the perfect way to play mind games with Froshore, and he drops that steel chair at Fro's feet, gets on his knees and says, hit me. Fro is barely on his feet. He's maybe down to one knee, blood dripping from his face, and he's looking at a man very similar to himself. Very, very similar, but has gone down just a darker path, and he's looking at a man that in a lot of ways he loves and in a lot of ways he hates. And he's looking at that steel chair and he's knowing that he won't be the same if he does this. But Frosure knows that if he doesn't do this, he has lost the match. And he knows it's gonna be years off his career if he gives Davis Wayne Newton the opportunity. And he smiles. And he's done. And he picks up the steel chair and he clocks Davis Wayne Newton with it. Over and over and over again. Frosure, almost unrecognizable. Gone are the basic submission holds. Gone are the fun, colourful brawling. And in its place, brutality, vitriol, absolute venom from the Californian. Absolute venom from the King of Bros. Absolutely none of the former smiles, the charisma, the thumbs up to the crowd. None of that anymore. Just dark stares at his opponent, dark stares at his enemy, lying there in a pool of both men's blood. And they really have painted the Mall Zone canvas red at this point. The amount of blood lost in this match has gone through the roof, and all they've used is a steel chair, and Fro looks around the ring and he starts to smile. As much of the smile you can see through that crimson mask. And he rolls out of the ring and he gets a few light tubes, gets a few kendo sticks, and he gets in the ring and he kneels and he goes, Davis, you asked for this. You asked for this, and this is what you get. And he picks up a light tube and he cracks it over Davis Wayne Newton's skull. Glass shards digging into the skull of Davis Wayne Newton. Absolute brutality. But Davis Wayne Newton gets up at 9 because he's used to the pain. He loves this pain, and he sees in Frosure now a victory. Davis Wayne Newton has won already, and he's willing to take everything, and Fro goes for another light tube. Misses. Davis Wayne wrestles the light tube off him, cracks over Fro's face, and Fro just laughs and kicks Davis Wayne Newton in the balls. DDT straight into the glass shards on the floor, and then he starts ripping off the top rope. Fro just starts ripping off the top rope, starts strangling Davis Wayne Newton with the top rope, starts locking him in that Fro mission, but instead of using his hands, he just uses the top rope as blood starts to stain the ropes, blood starts to stain the canvas even more. Both men just, not even really humans anymore, just warring entities, puddles of blood and flesh in the middle of that ring. So much of their blood and flesh has been spilled on the canvas. And the referee just wants to end this, but he knows he can't until one of these men is down for a 10 count. And they both have so much energy, so much passion, so much fury. So Fro gets 2 more light tubes. Smash, smash. Davis laughs. Fro picks him up. Fro to sleep. Knockout blow. And Davis Wayne Newton is down for a 10 count. But how much of Frosure has remained? After the match, Fro's looking at the blood on his hands, looking at it, like, picking the blood off of his face, picking out some shards of glass from his skull, and he's looking down at Davis Wayne Newton, who is stirring, who is bubbling up, and Fro picks Davis Wayne Newton up, and he smiles, and he just embraces Davis Wayne Newton in a giant hug. And honestly, after that match, it's hard to draw differences between these two men. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Check out the rest of the series. Subscribe if you haven't already. if you particularly enjoyed and are feeling especially generous, there's a link in the description to my Patreon. If you want to hear me ramble on Twitter, or read me ramble on Twitter, there's a link to my Twitter in the description. Let me know what you thought about this arc in the comments. It's been a long time coming. The Frosure character, I feel, has always had gradual development since he was like fully introduced as a full-time character, and this is by far the biggest departure from his usual style. I'm also really glad I got to tell this story with Fro, because it's very, very different to what I did with Fro in 2013. And I think that's cool. I'm really glad I got to use Fro, because I do love him. If you couldn't get that from the 2013 series, then you weren't watching closely enough. But I really like Frosure, and I'm glad I got to tell a very different story with him. It's been really fun. I hope you guys have had fun watching it. There's much more to come. What the hell is going on with those two now? Are they just going to go off and elope or something, or are they actually going to get down to some wrestling? Well, find out next time at the FanFest. For some reason in my head I was like WrestleFest, but I was like, no, that's not right. It's not WrestleFest. Oh yeah, it's Fan Festival. Yeah, Fan Festival. I think I can announce this now. Yeah, I don't see any reason not to. Next episode at Fan Festival, the main event is going to be Garry Walker, Logan Wolfsbane, unsanctioned match. So anything can happen. There's no rules. The only way to win is via pinfall. Actually, I don't know what I'm going to do about the win condition, but it's basically just going to be a fucking fight. They're going to show up in street clothes, they're going to fight each other, Marv can get involved, Gary can bring friends, everything's going to fucking go down, and it's just going to be a fight. Not dissimilar to our main event this evening, but hopefully with less light tubes and hopefully with less glass cutting into the skull of the triple threat Canadian sensation. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comments. And I will see you guys next time for Fan Festival. Our return to the Capitol Gardens. We're not in the Mall Zone next time because I like Capitol Gardens as a fan festival venue. And yeah, I'll see you guys then. Peace out.